I walked in after a long Thursday, dropped my keys on the table, and caught Jenna slipping her phone under the pillow like a kid hiding sweets. She jumped up with a grin 2 sizes too wide. "Hey babe, you're early. Traffic didn't fight hard enough," I said, hanging my jacket. "Lose something?" I walked through the door after a long day, and that's when I saw it, my wife, Chloe, sliding her phone under a pillow like a guilty child. That tiny, nervous flick of her wrist didn't just hint at a secret, it blew up my entire reality. The air in our entryway suddenly felt thick, heavy with unspoken questions. She popped up with a smile that was just a little too bright, a little too quick, and moved past me, her perfume lingering, but her presence already miles away. "Hey babe, you're early. Traffic didn't try hard enough," she chirped. I just looked at her. "Hanging my jacket. Lose something? Just changing the pillowcase?" I asked, my voice calm, but my mind already racing. "Aha," she mumbled, not looking back as she headed for the kitchen. I stood there a second, more puzzled than angry. People don't change pillowcases with their thumbs tapping. I let it go, for the moment. If I'd known where that little trick was headed, I swear, I would have brewed stronger coffee and found a different place to sleep that night. I sat at the table while she clanked pans around, making more noise than actual food. "What's the plan tonight?" I asked, opening the mail, trying to sound normal. "Yoga," she said. "Late class at 9. They added a new block." I couldn't help myself. "Must be a flexible instructor," I muttered. She frowned at me like I'd just keyed her car. "I'm trying to stay healthy," she snapped. "I'm all for health. Just didn't know the schedule got that creative." The spatula clattered to the floor. "You're being weird." "I'm being literal," I replied, holding her gaze. We ate salmon that night, and honestly, it tasted like an apology, or maybe a threat. She finished fast, barely looking up, then grabbed her gym bag. "Don't wait up." She tossed it over her shoulder as she walked out. "I won't," I called back, though she was probably already halfway to the garage. After the door clicked shut, I cleared the table, put the dishes in the washer, and stared at the pillow on the couch. I didn't touch it. If she wanted to run secrets like a high schooler, I wasn't volunteering as the hall monitor. I took a shower, set an alarm, and read in bed until I heard the garage door close near midnight. She tiptoed in like a cartoon thief, slipped into the bathroom, and pretended to be invisible. The next morning, the air between us tasted like unasked questions. On my way to work, I found her leaning on the kitchen island, scrolling on her phone. "Need anything?" I tried, offering an olive branch she didn't seem to see. "I'm fine," she said, without looking up. Great. I left it alone, but mentally marked a line. When respect starts leaking, it doesn't fix itself. At lunch, I moved a chunk of our discretionary money into my separate account. It wasn't a punishment, it was just clarity. Expenses stayed covered. Extras, though, went on hold. I also set my phone to Do Not Disturb after 10 p.m. and started planning my evenings without checking her calendar. I'm not a warden. I don't feed mystery. That night, she came home even later. Her hair was a little too done for yoga, her energy a little too high for stretching. She laughed at a text while opening the fridge. "Something funny?" I asked. "Just memes," she replied, still giggling. "You should frame them." She rolled her eyes. "You're moody lately." "We're observant," I corrected. "Are we going to fight about everything?" she asked, exasperated. "I don't fight," I said, looking her directly in the eyes. "I adjust." She didn't like that sentence. Control people never do. She started stacking her week with more classes and girl time. The explanations became sloppier. We added a second warm down. Ashley's car broke down again. We were planning a charity thing. Charity at 11:45 p.m.? Sure. I kept my voice calm and cleaned up my own schedule on Wednesday. I told her I'd be at David's shop late Saturday, working on a friend's motorcycle. I thought we might go to that new place, she said, almost a question. Book it with your yoga instructor, I suggested. Friendly enough. Tell him I'll review the menu later. She stared at me like I'd just moved a wall in our house. Wow. Snippy. Direct. She left in a huff. I made a call, just to be sure. I phoned my buddy David from the warehouse and asked if he needed help with his side project. He did. I committed. My calendar didn't have space for guessing games anymore. Around then, a text flashed from an unknown number. Call me. It's about Chloe. I sat with that for 5 minutes, staring at the message like it might bite. Then I dialed. Ethan, a woman said, her low voice steady. It's Sarah. Well, I used to be one of Chloe's close friends. I closed my office door. Okay, you don't know me, but I know enough, she continued. You're a good guy. I'm not here to gossip. I'm tired of watching a train hit someone who doesn't deserve it. Say what you need to say. Chloe's been seeing a guy, she said. Clean as a cut. She took him to the Sinclair on Tuesday. She told the girls she's juggling 2 lanes because she likes her options. She laughed, a dry, humorless sound. I didn't jump. I didn't ask his name. I let silence do the heavy lifting. I have photos from the restaurant, Sarah went on. Nothing indecent, just not friends having salad. Why are you calling me? I asked, my voice flat. Because she crossed lines, Sarah said. Because you've been decent to everyone in that circle. Because I wouldn't want my brother in your spot without someone telling him the truth. Send them, I said. Then delete my number from your messages. I'm not trying to stir your life, she replied. If you want help, I'll help. If you tell me to lose your number, I will. Your call. Send them, I repeated. The photos landed in my inbox a minute later. Candlelight. Her hand on a man's wrist, his tie loosened, her head tilted. Both trying to look like they weren't together. The kind of together you can't stage. I saved them to a private folder and stared at the spreadsheet on my monitor until the numbers blurred. I texted Sarah. Got them. Thank you, she replied. I'm here if you need anything. And I'm sorry. Sorry. Not my favorite word, but it had weight when it came without excuses. That night, I took my pillow to the guest room. Chloe poked her head in. Why are you in there? She asked. I like sleep, I said. She laughed, then suddenly seemed to grasp something. Suddenly, clarity. She folded her arms. So dramatic or explicit? She lingered like she wanted to push, then thought better of it. Whatever. I'm exhausted. Then rest, I told her, turning over. 2 days later, she tried a new angle. I came home, and she had dinner on the table. Real dinner. Not apology salmon. She wore a soft sweater, her eyes light, hair pulled back like movie sincerity. I know I've been all over the place, she began, pouring me iced tea. Work's crazy. I miss you. I've been here, I said, watching her carefully. I know, she answered. Her smile almost shy. Let's reset. No phones tonight, just us. It would have worked on the old me. I sat. I listened. She asked about my day, rubbed my shoulder in the hallway, laughed at one of my stories like it was the first time she'd heard it. For a second, I let it be simple. When she reached for my phone to put it away with hers, I saw the angle. Mine stays with me, I said. She froze for half a second, then covered it with a grin. Paranoid much? Boundaried much, I corrected. She sighed. This is what I get for trying. What you get is transparency, I said. You offer that. This gets easy. The next afternoon at David's shop, with grease on my hands and the smell of cut steel in the air, my head cleared. You look like you swallowed a battery, David said, handing me a rag. House is loud with quiet, I told him. Fix it or step around it, he said. Don't stand in the doorway. I'm already moving, I replied. Good. We worked. Manual labor sorts things. Thinking faster than therapy. I drove home with a calmer nose for nonsense. On Sunday, our neighbor, Daniel, hosted a backyard cookout. Chloe insisted we go. Ashley will be there, she said. She asked about you. Did she? I said, sensing a trap. When we stepped into Daniel's yard, Chloe turned on her hostess setting. All brightness and big gestures. She drifted to the women's circle before I finished saying hello. I grabbed a soda, nodded at Daniel, and talked with a guy whose name I forgot. 10 minutes in, I heard Chloe. Ethan is very routine, she told Ashley, loud enough for 3 chairs. If the world doesn't run on his clock, he short circuits. I took a slow sip of my drink and walked over. If the joke's about me, I said, I prefer royalties. Ashley flushed. Chloe smirked. We're kidding, she said. Don't be sensitive. I'm allergic to cheap material, I told her. If you want to roast me, I better be paid for it. Daniel coughed a laugh into his cup. Chloe's smile thinned. You're making people uncomfortable, she said. No, I corrected. I'm clarifying. Keep my name out of your entertainment. She looked around for allies. Ashley stared at her shoes. Daniel pretended his grill needed urgent prayer. I turned to Daniel. Thanks for the invite, I said. I've got an early morning. It was 3 in the afternoon. I left without fanfare. On the walk home, I decided I was done being a prop in her living room theater. That night, I unshared my calendar, turned off location sharing, and paused the weekly auto transfers to her fun account. Bills stayed covered. Extras went to 0 until further notice. I also booked a Monday lunch with a mediator to learn my logistics. I'm not impulsive. I'm thorough. Monday at noon, my phone buzzed. Chloe. Heads up. I'm doing a girls' trip Friday to Monday, weekend in Maple Creek. Don't worry, I'll be back by lunch Monday. Love you. 2 beats later, she added a heart. I stared at the screen. Girls' trip, huh? I scrolled to Sarah's thread. Me, is there a girl trip this weekend? Sarah? Sarah, first I'm hearing of it. I can ask Ashley, but my guess. No. Me, that matches my guess. Sarah, do you want help? Sarah, define help. Me, if she's using Monday as a glide path, flip the landing. Sarah texted back. I'll invite the girls over to your house Monday morning for breakfast and check-in. We'll wait. She won't expect a room full of witnesses when she walks in with her story. No yelling, just daylight. I read it twice. It was too clean. It was also exactly my speed. Me, do it, Sarah. I'll handle the invites. If you want to make it formal, have the papers ready. This ends in clarity, not chaos. Sarah, already scheduled. Sarah, I'm sorry you're here, Ethan. Me, I'm glad you called. I spent the next 48 hours behaving like a man with a flight plan. I met with the mediator, signed what I needed to sign, and arranged a packet with the basics. No drama. Wednesday, I put a small rolling suitcase in the primary closet with her essentials and the packet on top. I took personal items I cared about to the guest room and locked my desk. I canceled the couple's dinner we'd promised Daniel next week and texted him privately. Schedule change, rain check. He sent a thumbs up and nothing else. Good man. Thursday night, she tried a second soft landing. She came home early with takeout from my favorite barbecue place and a 6-pack of the IPA I always pick up. She set the bag on the counter with a coy smile. I've been a little scattered, she said. Work dumped 3 projects on me. I know I've been distant. I want to fix that. Noted, I said, opening the fridge. She stepped closer, arms around my waist, chin on my chest. Let me make it up to you, she whispered. Weekend after next. Just you and me. Mountain cabin, no phones. Can you afford the time? I asked, looking down at her. For you? Yes, she said, kissing my neck like punctuation. It was good acting, good enough to make me blink, but I didn't rewrite anything in my head. I kissed her forehead, peeled her arms off, and walked to the sink. What's wrong with you lately? She asked, too quick to hide the edge in her voice. You're shut down. I'm paying attention, I told her. She huffed. You get weird and then make me the bad guy. Stop creating scenes and the theater closes. She looked at the takeout bag like it had betrayed her. You don't want this? I'll eat it. I said, I just won't trade ribs for respect. She snorted. You're so dramatic, or clear. Friday morning, she rolled a suitcase to the garage. I'll text you when we get to Maple Creek, she said. Don't be needy. Won't be, I said. She paused like she expected me to beg for kisses. When I didn't, she tossed out, love you, and left. I spent Friday night at David's shop, then at home, putting my house in order. Saturday, I hit the gym early, mowed the lawn, and met Daniel on the sidewalk. Everything cool? He asked, half squinting, like neighbors do when they've heard enough to worry. It will be, I told him. Need anything? I'm covered. Sunday evening, Sarah texted. We're set for 7:30 a.m. Monday. Me, Ashley, 2 others. We'll bring coffee. You okay? Me, I'm steady, Sarah. Sarah, good. You don't deserve the circus. Me, I'm done attending. At 7:20 Monday morning, I laid out plates on the island. The house was quiet in a way that felt earned. The doorbell chimed at 7:28. I opened it to Sarah in a denim jacket, hair up, eyes direct. Ashley hovered behind her, guilt stamped over her face. 2 other women from Chloe's circle, Brooke and Paige, clutched cups like alibis. Thank you for coming, I said, stepping aside. Sarah nodded. Thanks for letting us. Ashley's voice was small. I didn't know what to do. Learning curve for everyone, I told her. We stood in the kitchen. 5 people who shouldn't be in a picture together. No small talk, no jokes, just a group decision to stop pretending. At 7:46, the garage door hummed. Voices went quiet. I looked at Sarah. She gave me one small nod. The mudroom door opened. Chloe stepped in with her suitcase, hair slightly messy, sweatshirt tied around her waist like college. She saw us and froze. The color left her face for a full 5 seconds. She didn't breathe, blink, or talk. The bag handle sagged in her hand. Morning, I said, matter of fact. She tried a laugh that never arrived. What is this? Breakfast? Sarah said, calm as stone. We wanted to catch up. Chloe looked at each woman like counting traitors. Why are you in my house? Ashley swallowed. Our house. Their house. I don't know. We just. Chloe cut her off. I texted you last night. I ignored it, Sarah said. We're here. Chloe turned to me, eyes darting. Ethan, what game are you playing? No game, I answered. How was the trip with him? She stared, lips parting and closing, words dying before birth. The silence stretched. How was it? I repeated, same tone I use for vendors who missed a deadline. Her eyes went wet, not rolling down yet, just gathering. It wasn't. Ethan. Please, can we talk privately? We are talking, I said. You've had a version of privacy for weeks. This is sunlight. She looked at Sarah. Betrayal burning. You did this. Sarah didn't blink. You did. This. We're just done pretending it's cute. Chloe's voice cracked. You promised me. I promised you no lies, Sarah said. And I kept it. I pointed down the hallway. Suitcase is in the bedroom. On top is a packet. Take both. When you're ready, leave the key on the counter. Wait, Chloe took one step, hands up like a referee. Ethan, listen. I got in over my head. I pushed you away. I'm sorry. I can fix it. You can fix you, I said. The rest is out of inventory. I love you, she whispered. You love comfort, I replied. You love options. You love applause. You didn't love me enough to tell the truth. She tried to move closer. I lifted a hand, palm down. Not a stop sign, just gravity. She froze. We can go to counseling, she blurted. We can reset. I'll quit everything. Your words lost their credit line, I said. This is cash only, and you don't have it. A tear finally dropped. Please don't do this with them here. This is exactly where it belongs, I told her. No more shadow games. She looked at Ashley for help. Ashley shook her head, her voice tiny. I'm sorry. Chloe swallowed hard, anger flaring under the panic. You all think you're saints. No, Sarah said, steady. We just stopped letting you sell stories. Chloe's breathing sped, but she caught herself, turned, and walked the short hallway to the bedroom. The room went quiet, except for the distant zipper of reality closing. Ashley whispered, I feel sick. You're doing the right thing. I said, we heard drawers. 2 minutes later, Chloe reappeared with the suitcase and the packet clutched like a life vest. You won't get what you think from this, she said, her voice thin. You'll end up alone and bitter. I'd rather be alone than hired, I answered. Leave the key. She put it on the counter with more force than needed. She looked at me one last time, her eyes a mess of anger and pleading. I never meant to hurt you, she said. I never offered you my back, I replied, and nodded toward the door. She grabbed the suitcase handle, wheeled it to the mudroom, and left. No slam. She knew that would be too small for the moment. For a long beat, nobody spoke. Then I exhaled. Thank you, I told the women, meaning it. I know that wasn't easy. Sarah set her coffee down. Hard doesn't mean wrong. I looked at Ashley. You okay? She nodded, shaky. I didn't see how deep it went. I'm sorry. Apology accepted, I said. You showed up. That matters. Brooke wiped at her eyes. What now? Now I make breakfast, I said, pulling eggs from the fridge. And next weekend, if you're free, I'm throwing a party. Nothing crazy. Some music, a grill, a backyard that doesn't lie. Consider yourselves invited. Sarah arched an eyebrow. A freedom party? Call it a reset, I said. Saturday at 6. They exchanged looks and gave small, relieved smiles. Ashley sniffed. I'll bring pie. Perfect, I said, cracking an egg into the pan like flipping a page. The week moved like a machine. No spectacle, no public postings. I told Daniel there had been a change. He nodded, said he had an extra cooler if I needed one for Saturday. David grinned and offered to handle the grill. I slept in the guest room out of habit, then realized I could move back to the primary. I did. The bed felt like mine again, which told me more than all the arguments we never had. Saturday came. By 5, the backyard hummed. Daniel was setting up lights across the fence like a neighborly runway. David flipped burgers like a surgeon. Sarah arrived with a bowl of something green and sincere. Ashley carried pie, eyes red but smiling. Brooke and Paige showed up with chips and a promise to behave. A couple of my guys from the warehouse came too. Good men who don't ask for details. I pulled Sarah aside near the porch. You okay? I asked. She looked up. Her smile was small but real. I am now. Thank you for Monday, I told her. That took spine. I kept waiting for someone else to do it, she said. Then I realized I was someone. We stood there a second. The kind of quiet that isn't heavy. She touched my arm. There's something I should say, she began, then stopped, choosing words like careful steps. I liked you before any of this, just as you are. I never said anything because lines matter. I still don't want to cross when you're not ready to cross. But if you ever want to try dinner, real dinner with honesty, I'd show up. I leaned on the railing. Let the air move through that. You're direct. I figured you'd appreciate it. I do, I said. And yes, let's try dinner. Slow. No theater. No theater, she echoed, her smile touching her eyes properly this time. She released my arm and headed back to the table. David yelled from the grill, Boss, you want cheese or are you trying to impress people? Cheese, I called. Always cheese. Laughter loosened the backyard. The lights looked good. The air felt clean. I didn't make a speech about freedom or fresh starts. I passed plates, poured drinks, and watched people relax. Over the next weeks, things stayed simple because I kept them that way. Paperwork moved faster than horror stories said it would. The house stayed with me. It made sense, and no one fought that math. The truck and the tools stayed where they belonged. I didn't chase updates or explanations. I didn't swap insults across screens. Chloe texted twice. Long messages that swung from apology to accusation. I replied once. The path is set. Take care. After that, I muted the thread and let silence do its job. Sarah and I eased into something that felt like adult sanity. Tuesday dinners. A Saturday morning walk where we talked more than we touched. She didn't press. I didn't perform. Friends noticed, nodded, and minded their plates. David said, about time. Daniel said, good pick. Ashley hugged me once in the driveway and whispered, thank you for not making me the enemy. I told her I didn't need more enemies than reality. Work got better because my head got lighter. I took on a project that had been sitting too long and finished it 3 weeks early. My boss noticed. That turned into a bonus that felt earned. Not lucky. I replaced the squeaky garage door opener and finally fixed the cabinet hinge Chloe swore was quirky. Quirky got old fast when it's your hinge. About Chloe? There's not much to say, and that's the point. She moved into a small apartment across town. Friends said she tried to keep the old pace. New dinners, new audience. It didn't land the same. The man from the photos wasn't around by June. He was never really in this story except as a mirror for choices. And he vanished the way mirrors do when you turn off the light. The circle adjusted. Some stayed loyal to her. Some drifted. I wasn't interested in counting. One evening, Sarah and I sat on the tailgate of my truck, watching the last streaks of sun fall behind the hill. She nudged me with her knee. "You look lighter," she said. "I am," I answered, because I stopped holding up a ceiling that wanted to fall. She smiled. "That's a good line. It's just the truth. You going to be okay if she shows up somewhere?" "Grocery store, sidewalk, life happens." "I'll nod and keep moving," I said. "I don't owe her a scene." Sarah studied my face for a second. "I like you. I like you, too." We didn't make promises. We made a plan for Friday dinner and left it at that. The thing about boundaries is they're not punishment. They're a map. You draw them and you live by them. I didn't yell to feel tall. I didn't throw plates to feel alive. I changed my schedule, my access, my money flow, and my front door. I gave one clear sentence in a kitchen full of witnesses. And then I lived the sentence. When people ask, I don't give them a movie. I give them the short version. I came home, she hid a phone under a pillow, and eventually she walked out with a suitcase and a packet. In between, there were jokes at barbecues, late yoga, a very generous friend who decided truth beats loyalty to a lie, and a Monday morning where the room had enough light to make all the dust visible. I don't hate Chloe. Hate would imply she still rented space in my head. She doesn't. I wish her the kind of growth you only get when your audience stops clapping. I wish myself quiet dinners, honest mornings, and conversations that don't require translation. As for the last word, everybody wants to know the last word. Here it is. That morning, after she left the key on the counter and rolled her suitcase out, I picked up the key, labeled it with a strip of blue tape, and set it in the junk drawer for Daniel to copy the new locks. I turned to the women in my kitchen and said, "Next Saturday, same time. Only this time, we bring music." They laughed. Sarah's eyes met mine. The story closed itself. I live in my house. My truck starts every morning. The grill needs cleaning because it gets used. The guest room is for guests again. I have a woman in my life who doesn't need to perform to feel seen. I see my friends more. I sleep harder. And when I pass the couch pillow, I smile. No secrets under it anymore. Just a couch. Just a life that fits my name. Do you think I handled that morning confrontation the right way?